Peace, love, knowledge, and freedom, and welcome to another episode of the Just Seen podcast. Um, Today, I'm going to be discussing melanin. Um, I chose this episode because, in light of recent situations, um, I want to I want to give my credence, and I want to be able to give my flowers to the great Dr. Llaila Afrika. Um, as of recently, he just transitioned on to become an ancestor, and I want to dedicate this to him because without him, there will be no me in the vein of holistic health, speaking on and just giving my expressions of the holistic side and learning everything from that perspective. He pretty much like set the foundation for everything that I am in regard to the health side of life. Um, he inspired me to just be as great as I can be unapologetically. Um, just he laid a major foundation. It hurts me a lot. It really bothers me that he has transitioned on. But like death is a part of life, so it's like one of those inevitable things. But it's still shocking to me because, like I said, it he just I don't know. He's done so much for me, um, in every aspect. I read every one of his books. I watched a decent amount of his lectures. I can't even it's hard to formulate a lot of the words to say. Um, but one of the things that above all, he really set the foundation for with me was with melanin, and it completely revolutionized my thinking. It changed my thoughts. It took me into a deeper level of research, study, and everything. He kind of set the tone for you know a lot of the way that I express myself, unapologetically. Like you know his sarcasm, his wit, his intelligence, his essence, man, everything. It allowed me to be myself. It allowed me to be the thinker that I am. It allowed me to be the healer that I am. It allowed me to be the scholar that I am, the teacher that I am. It he's really set the tone a lot. And I can't I can't like I said, this is my way of giving him his flowers. This is something I probably should have done already. Yeah, I have written Hitting It Raw, Living a Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life, based off of, my own, of course, understanding and learning, but fueled with, his passion, fueled with, everything that he's taught me. Um, and yeah, it's a heavy one for me. It's a heavy one for me because now I see more of a different side of life. Um, just I don't know, man. I really don't know what to say. Um, Except rest well. You laid the foundation. You've done phenomenal work for our people, and um, I dedicate this one completely to you. Um, with that being said, before I go in, be sure to follow me on Instagram at _just_seen_. Click the link in the bio to be taken to all of my different extensions, the 90-day vegan course, um, the Just Seen podcast, Just Seen's merch, So Frail books, Mastering the Market. Um, what else? Be sure to get my books, So Frail, A Reality to Black Belt Masculinity, So Frail 2, Toxic Femininity, Hitting It Raw, Living a Raw Plant-Based Lifestyle for Life. Um, I want to give my thanks to everyone who donates, leaves tips, and sponsors the station. I appreciate you all. If you wish to donate, sponsor the station, you can do so by clicking the links in your description. It can either be PayPal or Cash App, and the sponsorship is directly through the Anchor app. There should be a link to take you there as well. So I'm not gonna, take too much more up. With that being said, this one is for the great Dr. Llaila Afrika, and we will be discussing melanin. Melanin, the keys of the gods. Oh yeah, and don't forget to visit IamJustSeen.com. There, you can get all things Just Seen. You want to add the Soul Frail series to your library? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to learn how to master the market for serious trading and investing? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You want to get your hands on some exclusive merch like tees, hoodies, coffee mugs, hats, bags? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Are you thinking about transitioning into the plant-based lifestyle? Visit IamJustSeen.com. You ever want to just chat with Seen about anything from simple advice to mentorship? Visit IamJustSeen.com. Anything and everything that is me, you can find at IamJustSeen.com. So just take a quick peek into my world and see why being just seen is nothing less but always more. Because you never really know what you need until you see it. You will never see it unless you visit IamJustSeen.com. All right, welcome back. So we'll begin with, I'm not going to necessarily say debunking a lot of the shit that's going on, a lot of shit that's been spoken on melanin, but I'm going to go in and peel back the layers of what melanin truly is from beginning to end. It's deeper than and far beyond just your skin tone. Your skin tone is just a physical representation of that shit. And there are phenomenal things that melanin can do. Melanin is a phenomenal molecule, and it is responsible for pretty much everything that makes us black, and by black, I want to express that I'm talking about the essence. So it's deeper than just the complexion, because technically we're not black. We're shades of brown from the darkest to the lightest. But, at the end of the day, we're black and we're classified as black. And that is directly related to our melanin content and our melanin makeup. Okay. So, so from the beginning, I'm going to discuss, I'm going to go in with melanin, starting from it from the organic chemistry perspective, from the dynamic. And a lot of times what is not understood, like, I decided to study melanin because I kept hearing about it so much. I decided to study it because I knew that there was something about me individually, and there was something collectively about my people that made us so much greater than what we were. And I also understood that there was something that everybody else knew that we didn't. When I say everybody else, I mean the scientific communities of the other races of people. As I always say, there's only 3 races of people. This is not, to come sideways at anybody else, but the 3 races of people are the Africoid, the Mongoloid, and the Caucasoid, right? Everybody else, in some way, shape, or form, is an amalgamation of one of those 3, So, and then in addition to that, when we consider like land masses and shit and all of that, like those barriers of separation are fucked up. But at the end of the day, there's 3 races of people: the Africoid, the Mongoloid, and the Caucasoid. And the Africoid is the melanin based, the dark melanin based. I'm gonna express what that is in a second. Caucasoid is the absent, is the false melanin, and I'll explain that too. And then the Mongoloid, as I said, is an amalgamation between those 3. That those 2 fits in between those 2, and that's why you have, like, for example, dark-skinned Asians with nappy curly hair, and then you have the Asians that you see on TV, the ones that everybody's shitting on for the Rona. But hey, everybody gets their turn, you know. Everybody gets their turn. Not on any funny shit, but everybody gets their turn to experience what everybody else puts us through. Um, and it's directly connected to our melanin. So when we look at why the world hates us, it's, you know, Drake said a very powerful line. He said, jealousy is love and hate at the same time. They love everything that we are, but they hate that they're not it. So melanin is the missing piece as to why that is the case. You feel what I'm saying? So the first point of melanin that I want to start off with is what I've seen countless times on social media that is, I ain't going to say completely wrong, but it's limited in scope. And that melanin, and when people say melanin is carbon, melanin is not carbon. It is carbon based. It is a carbon based molecule. So when people are saying that, sometimes it's funny because it's a reach. It's definitely a reach, but I get it when they be like, the mark of the beast, that they speak on in the Bible is 666. And then they say, well, really what that is that melanin is carbon. Carbon has a atomic number of 6. That is true, which means carbon has 6 protons, 6 electrons, and 6 neutrons. Right. So I get how that is the case. They're like, oh, they're talking about the mark of the beast being on your hand and your forehead. And then when you put that in there, yeah, you got dark skin on your forehead, dark skin on your hand. But it's a reach in the sense that melanin isn't just carbon. Melanin has a chemical structure that is C18H10N2O4. Okay, I'm going to say that one more time. I'm going to try to say it a little slower. C18H10N2O4. Okay, what this chemical structure means is that melanin has 18 carbons in it, 10 hydrogens, 2 nitrogens, and 4 oxygens, right? This is a molecule and a structure that allows for a decent amount of binding on multiple sites. So if you understand organic chemistry, or you just, organic chemistry is not, it's deep. It's not some shit that you could just see this formula, then go understand how everything works, because you still have to understand general chemistry to understand organic. You feel what I mean? And in addition to that, you also have to, in a sense, understand biology as well. But I'm not going to go 100% diving into that vein because there's so much information regarding organic chemistry. And melanin is just one molecule that has that. But the reason why I spoke on that is because melanin has a specific ring structure, right? So when something has a ring structure, it allows for certain reactions to occur, right? So with melanin being C18H10N2O4, these different extensions of it, where you have the hydrogens that stick off of the ring, you have oxygen that sticks off the ring, you have nitrogen that sticks off the ring. When you understand their atomic numbers, you understand, okay, they have different binding sites to them. They can create different forms, different bonds to them, So this makes melanin very, 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 and I'm using this not loosely at all. Like, this is a reality. Melanin has, if not one of the greatest universal structures for anything to bind to it. You dig what I'm saying? And that's because you have the oxygen sites. You can have reactions that bind to that. You have the nitrogen sites. You have reactions that can bind to that. The hydrogen sites, you have different reactions that can knock a hydrogen off and replace that hydrogen, creating double bonds. It's different things that melanin can do, right? In addition to that, melanin as a molecule will then be classified as, according to organic chemistry, as an alkaloid. Now, alkaloids are very powerful, and this is something I'm going to make a connecting piece to some of our ancient history when we talk about Kemet. See, our Kemetic ancestors, like, we got to look at the Kemetic ancestors, because when I tell people to study your past and your history, this is how I define it. This is how I do it. You got to start from where you are, go back to Egypt, then go up from Kemet. Okay, you go back to Egypt, then you go up from Kemet. When you go up from Kemet, you get to Nubia, you get to Kush, you get to Ethiopia, as not just the country or that region, But Ethiopia is what they used to call Africa collectively, because Ethiopia, before it was just Ethiopia, had an A in front of it to symbolize that Ethiopia represented the people of the ether, right? It's the reason why they were calling us the people of the ether, because our skin was, black. And then from Ethiopia, you can then go into what was called Alkebulan. That was what the entire land was called before, no borders or nothing like that. It was just Alkebulan. Or is it Albeculan? It's one of the two. It's either Alkebulan. I'm confident that it's Alkebulan, but it could be Albeculan. But I want to say Alkebulan. But whatever the case may be, that's what our people, collectively were called, and every expression of ourselves was related to our skin. So when they called us the Ethiopians, as I said, the Greeks were the ones who identified that and left that, and that's why they put it with the A first, because it represented ether. Ether was it's spelled E-T-H-E-R now, but at a time it was A-E-T-H-E-R. And there was, other reasons for that, but we're not going too heavy into that. So our Kemetic ancestors, one of the dopest iconographies that they left was a sar, right? A sar represents, in many iconographies, a sar represents the soul. It represents the essence, right? But a sar was always represented in two colors. He was either green or he was black. And the reason for that is because, and this is why why I'm going into what an alkaloid is. The black skin or the green skin represented the harmony, and the soul represents the essence, the harmony and the essence of the connection between plants and melanin, between plants and humans. And by humans, I'm talking about hue with the E, right? They took the E out to try to make us all the same, but humans was the man of hue, at one point in time. But they took that out so you don't know that, oh, yeah, there's color. The reason why, we're called humans is because hue, color, is different shades. But the true human and the plant, those two, the energy is the same. They're synonymous. And if you study, just plant nature and human nature, they're kind of antagonistic to one another, but not in a bad way. You feel what I'm saying? Where plants absorb as food nitrogen, and then they give off oxygen as waste. We absorb oxygen as food, and we give off carbon dioxide as waste. I think I said that wrong the first time. Plants absorb carbon dioxide as food, and they give off oxygen as waste, and we absorb oxygen as food, and we give off carbon dioxide as waste, and we form that synergistic thing. If you look at grounding, when you walk outside with your shoes off, that is a transfer of energy. Plants and grass, they take our negative energy, the negative energy that we have in them, they take it as food, and we get their negative energy, but it's positive energy for us. So that even transfer, then it balances out to harmonize with the frequency of the earth, which is, I want to say 432 megahertz. That's the frequency of the earth. So when we balance with that, that puts us in harmony and aligns with our normal selves. So an alkaloid, right, from the organic chemistry perspective, an alkaloid is a nitrogenous compound. This is why I said melanin, came in with melanin having C18H10 N2O4, because the N2 is nitrogen. That's two nitrogens on it. But that makes it an alkaloid. It's a nitrogenous compound, and this is very important. It's a nitrogenous compound of plant origin with pronounced physiological effects on humans, right? And alkaloids typically become drugs and poisons, right? Drugs and poisons. So this is why drugs hit Black people harder than they hit everybody else, because our melanin content, the melanin compound, binds to drugs, has a high affinity to them. And when something has an affinity to something, it's because they're very, very compatible in a sense. You feel what I'm saying? The more compatible it is, the higher the affinity. So melanin has a high affinity for drugs because a lot of drugs are alkaloid based. Reason why they're alkaloid based is because the people that are creating them, they're creating them from plant sources. You feel what I mean? If you look at the crack epidemic was a strategic thing because it began with cocaine. You need cocaine to make crack. You know what I mean? You got water, baking soda, ice cubes. Y'all know the formula, I think. But anyway, That's, you know what I mean? Those are days of Christmas past. When it comes to we're looking at crack as a whole, right? Crack is a hardened base from cocaine, right? But cocaine comes from what? The coca leaf plant. You feel what I mean? So once they chefed it up and they gave it back to us, they knew that this cocaine was going to bind with melanin. And this was a lot of it too, was a lot of a psychological attack. I don't think people paid attention to that part. The fact that cocaine and crack is white. Well, cocaine was more of a Caucasian drug. Most black people didn't really do cocaine. But the reason why crack was so heavy and why it was white, not only, and it's not like white. It's almost the color of Caucasian skin. It was a psychological attack that we're going to kill you. We're going to use this to kill you because we understand melanin a lot better than you do. And we know that this is an alkaloid. So once that addiction hits, once that crack binds, that crack molecule binds to your melanin molecule, you're addicted for life because the affinity is so high. It's two alkaloids. The affinity is so high that they just bind together and they stick. You feel what I'm saying? But of course, we got hip to it and we decided, and we seen the addictive power of it, and we started to sell it. And that's why, they started to increase the mandatory minimums and created the war on drugs. They put the drug, we got hip to it, but they didn't, that was how they were going to be used to destroy us. But they use it from knowing the science of melanin. Now, when I was in school, before I ventured off out of academia to study this shit, because I had to, in school, they teach you that melanin is a waste molecule. It has no purpose. That's what they teach you. This is when I was in high school biology, college, all of this. It wasn't until I was in a master's degree program that I actually saw a bit of the truth, but it was still wrong. I'm not going to say it was wrong. It was limited because they're not going to give you that much. But when I was in medical school, the professor is sitting at the front of the class saying melanin is just a waste molecule. You feel me? This was 2014. And this was before I actually started studying, but one of my homies that I was in class with, he was like, "Yo, that's bullshit, man. I can't believe she's saying that." And I was like, "Well," he was like, "Yo, melanin is so much deeper than that." He's like, "Yo, look it up and study." And from there, the spark happened, and sending my flowers. This is how I ultimately came into Dr. Afrika. You feel me? And I was like, "Oh shit, melanin is fire, cuz that's some deep shit." I peeled back the layers, and then from there, I started to understand that they're fucking with us. That's why I had to detach from that system. I can't be in it. I can't be in it. I got a lot of people who say, "Yo, you should just," they don't need my mind in that society because that is detrimental to my people. I don't give a fuck. I've learned that. I've seen on countless occasions, I've seen teachers say, I wanted to be a teacher so I could help the inner city youth. I want to help. You can't. I want to be a lawyer because you can't. I want to be a cop because you got to be on the inside. No, you can't. You can't. Hear me. You cannot do it. I don't care what profession you can represent these people. You can try your best. You cannot bring it down. You can't. You can't. They'll fire you and they'll blackball you before they allow you to bring it down. I'm telling you the real. You feel me? You can try all you want to. Because the system is set up this way. You become a function of the system and you operate as such. You feel me? You feel what I mean? So it's not much that you can do about that. So back on track. So when it comes to melanin, we have a higher affinity for things binding to us that are plant sources. This is why we're supposed to be plant-based. I don't tell people to operate from a plant-based perspective because, your health, I mean this in the utmost respect because I got a value for, I don't fuck them animals, bro. They're going to I didn't kill them. I'm not killing them. But at the end of the day, I didn't I didn't choose to live this life because of the animals. I did it for myself and I did it for my people. I did it for me and what I'm naturally supposed to be. And even from a biblical perspective, it tells you to be plant-based. Motherfuckers completely overlook that shit though. You feel what I'm saying? And that also, is why I detach from religious beliefs because, me personally, this is not towards anybody's, deity because you got to study your shit. You know, you got to, you know, 1 Thessalonians 5:21, as I always say, test everything and show yourself approved. So in showing myself approved, I had to understand this deity that I was serving, that I was calling myself serving. This deity creates me in its image, right? If I'm created in the image of this deity, then that deity its body should operate the same way as mine. My body should operate as its, like, you feel me? Because the image is the reflection. Therefore, they pretty much one and the same. From the one come the all, therefore the all is the one. You feel me? But this deity says that you're supposed to eat animals. You know, I hear people like, well, they say we get like, you're supposed to eat animals that chew the cud and have split hooves. That's what you're supposed to eat. So they say don't eat swine because deeper than that, pigs don't have sweat glands, so they don't sweat, so their toxins stay into their body. You feel what I'm saying? Respect. I get that. Do you? You feel what I mean? So that's why you don't eat, but everything else is good. You can eat the fowl, you can eat the cows, you can eat the goats and the sheep, but you can't eat pigs or whatever. You know, don't eat shellfish because they're the scavengers of the ocean or whatnot. You shouldn't eat, you know, shrimp and shit like that. So they laid those things out, you know, and people, okay, well, I just, you know, but people don't listen to that shit. But the deeper part of that is that this very being is telling you that you can eat things that I created you in my image, and I'm telling you to eat things that I know is going to fuck your body up, put your body in an acidic state and poison you. Like, that's one of the reasons I had to detach from that, because then everybody overlooks the fact that it's Genesis 1:26, I believe it is, where it says, let the fruit be thy meat. Oh, so now nobody wants to talk about being plant-based. When you're supposed to be, according to your very religion. Now, it's a joke. If you're not really, you know what I'm saying? Like, you're not listening, being hard-headed, you know, and then going deeper, if you look at the story of Joseph, when he's in Egypt or whatnot, and the Pharaoh is trying to give him high rank. He says, all right, we'll give you the choicest meats or whatever it is. He said, nah, we don't want that. He said, you give us the best fruits and vegetables, and I guarantee that our men will look better than yours when it's time to go to war. And they did. You feel me? But again, sometimes, you know, just want to put things into perspective because, you know, everything tells you what you're supposed to be doing right now. But we choose to make the choice to listen. You feel what I mean? And this isn't pressure, or this isn't a guilt trip to say, you know, oh, go plant-based. No, go plant-based because you want to and you choose to, but know why. And know why you are going against what you're supposed to be going against. But anywho, so now we bring it back to melanin, right? So back to the Asar connection with the plants, and like we're universally connected to plants. You feel what I'm saying? And they understand that. That's why the drugs that we get on, the medicines and shit, it shuts our bodies down and it makes us, because they're all plant-based. The pharmaceutical company, when they create their drugs, they have to go to the plant compound. They have to take it from the plant compound in order for it to work, because you need an alkaloid. You feel what I'm saying? You need an alkaloid. And by using an alkaloid, as I said, is a nitrogenous compound that is of plant origin. You feel what I mean? It's of plant origin. This is why herbs are so powerful. You feel what I'm saying? But the thing about the difference between pharmaceutical drugs and herbs is that herbs are created and already balanced to what they're supposed to be. There's no need for the lab. You feel what I'm saying? If, for example, you go to your doctor and your doctor says you're calcium deficient, right? You're lacking calcium. They say, go take a calcium supplement. You go take a calcium supplement. It's like, oh, I'm getting calcium. No, you're not. You're not getting calcium. And the reason why you're not getting calcium is because calcium needs to be put into the body with magnesium in a 1-to-1 ratio. You feel what I mean? For every magnesium, in order for you to absorb and to get calcium, for every calcium you have to have magnesium in it too. If you look on your calcium supplements, there's no magnesium in it. Why? It gives you the illusion that you're actually being healthy, and you're not. You're not getting what you need. You feel me? You're not getting what you need. So it comes from that perspective, but it's really not there. So that the herbal aspect, which is what our natural melanin has the affinity to, gives us what we need in the right abundance and the right ratios already set. You feel me? Shouts to Dr. Afrika for presenting the mineral relativity chart. Every mineral has to be bound with something. in order to go into your body correctly. And now the shit is crazy. Like for example, let's say a phosphorus, and I include, and I break this down in my 90-day vegan course, the power of the melanin, the mineral relativity chart, and the importance of herbs, because you're not getting just one mineral. You know what I mean? And you have to get them in the right quantities, because now you have to go into the organic chemistry aspect of it, because these minerals that we're getting in our body, every mineral, quote unquote, is what the periodic table is about. You feel what I'm saying? It's what the periodic table is about. So hydrogen, mineral, helium, mineral, but lithium, strontium, different things like that. So now when we bring it back, when we look at the great Dr. Sebi, rest his soul as well, he talks about, taking sea moss to get 92 of the 102 minerals. Look on the periodic table and you'll see what I'm talking about. You'll see how many of those 92, 102, like you'll see what the periodic table is, those naturally made occurring ones. But then now when you get to the lanthanide and actinide series, those aren't real. They make those in a lab. Those shits don't count. Don't fuck with them. They're not real. And that's why they're not in earth. That's why they're not in natural plants. You feel what I'm saying? Because man has to make them. Because mankind wants some kind of kudos for, hey, we're creating. You're not creating new elements, because if you put that same element back into the earth, it's not going to last. It's going to fade away because it's not naturally occurring and naturally created. But the point that I was making is that each one of these raw elements, one of these raw points of the periodic table, these minerals, they cannot just be in your body freely until your body dissociates their connection. For example, when we drink water, like I use this quick example, water is H2O, but you cannot take just hydrogen gas into your body. You cannot just take oxygen gas. Well, you can breathe oxygen in, but oxygen has to be stable. Like you cannot just take in an oxygen molecule. The oxygen that we breathe in from the earth is O2. You feel what I mean? It's O2, which means there's two oxygens bound together in order to stabilize the electron structure and the electron cloud that is around it. You feel what I'm saying? You don't want to have these free minerals and these free elements roaming through your body, because that's how you get what's called free radicals. Free radicals are not good. You feel me? They're damaging to your body. You know what I mean? So that now segues into the importance of making sure these minerals are bound. So for example, carbon is one of the stable ones. It has four, and when you look at the valence electrons, there's four possibilities that things can bind to it. Oxygen has a few, but you want to make a stable environment for that molecule. And so that's why we look at things like phosphorus, sulfur. These things, for them to enter our body, they have to be bound with other things collectively. Now, this is where you can now get into the points where you have poisons and toxins and shit, because if something is not arranged properly, or if it's arranged with something that clashes, it's going to hurt you. And that's what a lot of drugs do. But it hurts you in the sense that because these are alkaloids and you have melanin, what it's going to do is bind to that melanin and stick to it, because the affinity is so high. You dig what I mean? The affinity is so high. So, excuse me. So that's melanin just from the general standpoint. And I'm like, you're like, yo, that's general. Yeah, it gets specific. It gets a lot more specific. And this is where the problem comes in with the healthcare system. This is where the problem comes in with pharmaceuticals, because our bodies are not the same. Bill Nye keeps tweeting and motherfuckers keep trying to, oh, we're all the same. We are not the fucking same. We're not. We're not the same as anybody else. We're different because our melanin is based differently. Now, here's another point. That's, Instagram fluff. That white people don't have melanin, that only black people have melanin. No, everybody has melanin. Everybody has melanin. However, melanin has two forms to it. You have eumelanin and you have pheomelanin, right? This is why it's important to understand the Latin language a little bit, because when you start to understand the Latin language, understand words, and understand prefixes. Because when you look at you, from a scientific perspective, anything that has the EU prefix, prefix to it means true, means real, right? If it has fail, it means false, not real. So anybody of the Africoid race, the genetically dominant, dynamic of being a human, you have eumelanin, true melanin. Yours is real. But the Caucasians and the pale-skinned Asians, they have pheomelanin, which is false. That's why they can't be in the sun, right? The sun gives off ultraviolet radiation, UV rays, right? What melanin does with UV rays is it absorbs it. What eumelanin does with UV rays is absorbs it. Pheomelanin repels it. It doesn't absorb it. This is why they need SPF 50s and all of this shit. And if you pay attention to the sunscreens, they're getting stronger. They have to, because the sun is getting stronger, right? The sun is getting stronger. It ain't hurting us. It's not hurting us. Now, I get it. People say, well, black people can still get skin cancer. I mean, granted, when your body's broken down, that makes sense. In our pristine state, we can't. The reason why is because the UV radiation that once we absorb it, it transmutes it. And now it's so dope. It's so deep because you don't know how biologically powerful your body really is until you start to study it and quote unquote know thyself. We talk know thyself and we talk about history all the fucking time. What about the present and biological aspects? Nobody wants to dabble into that because science is too hard, quote unquote. Science is too difficult. Science is too confusing. I've had conversations with melanated people who would say, oh, that's the white man's. Like, we can't say in one aspect that the motherfucker stole our shit and then criticize the motherfucker who went back to the thief and got the shit back. You feel me? Now, granted, they have manipulated a lot of it, but that's where your critical thought, that's where masculinity comes in, analysis and deconstruction. See, I'll be going somewhere with my shit, bro. I'm telling you. But this is where it comes in so you can start to peel back the layers and understand what you're dealing with. You dig what I mean? So when we take that on, we got to understand the biological aspects of it too. So when the sun gives us UV rays, our bodies, what it does what the melanin does is it converts the UV ray into vitamin D, into a vitamin. That's powerful, yo. So when the sun rays hits our bodies, it hits the skin cells, which are where the melanosomes happen. Once the melanosomes releases the melanin, that's another point. I keep seeing a lot of people say melanin comes from the pineal gland. It doesn't. Melatonin comes from the pineal gland, not melanin. Melanin comes from your skin cells, your melanosomes, the melanocytes. Melanocytes have bodies in them called melanosomes. Soma means body in Latin. And so it's the bodies of melanin, basically, in your skin. So once the UV rays hits that, it stimulates it and causes it's the D3 calcitrol. I want to say it is. That's what I'm seeing right now. D3 calcitrol. I could be wrong, but look it up. Please do. But it does convert once that DC calcitrol hits. It's interacted with the ultraviolet rays. It converts to vitamin D. This is why they quote unquote say you have seasonal depression. No, it's because you're not getting sunlight. You're not getting sunlight. And this is why we're so animated and extra active in the summertime, because we wake up. When I was in school, I used to have homies that will fail during the semester than pass summer school. And then summer school is a lot shorter. You know what I mean? They're like, I just get it now. I know you get it because you're awake. You're awake. You're not hibernating anymore. You're no longer going through the seasonal depression. You're getting your ultraviolet rays. And because you're getting your ultraviolet rays, you're getting your vitamin D, which makes you more efficient at thinking. But again, melanin, it's powerful. It's the keys of the gods. You feel me? So our melanin absorbs it, which is eumelanin. Their melanin repels it, which is pheomelanin, right? So this is why they have to put the sunscreen barriers on, because they need the sunscreen, the SPF 4. I seen this experiment. I forgot who was doing it, but whatever the case may be they put everybody on a black and white on a black and white screen or UV screen, right? And they put that sunscreen on them. When they put the sunscreen on them, and then they put a black person in that same video, the sunscreen on the UV panel made them look black. So that shows you what our natural skin is doing. It operates as SPF 50, 15, 30, whatever. It operates as that because it absorbs it. So it serves, so the sunscreen their sunscreen is basically a coat of melanin. They need that shit to be in the sun. You feel what I'm saying? Otherwise they burn, they peel. You feel me? We don't, we charge up. We get darker and we charge up. You feel what I'm saying? It's different. It's levels to the shit. You feel what I'm saying? So they have eumelanin, we have pheomelanin. I mean, we have eumelanin, they have pheomelanin. Don't ever disrespect melanin again. See? My bad, y'all. My bad. But now it goes deeper because now we have to understand that it's based differently too. Eumelanin is selenium based. Pheomelanin is sulfur based. Now, people always call me an asshole for this, but this is biologically and scientifically why this shit happens. Okay? When they say, yo, how come when white people get wet, they smell like dogs? Because when water hits sulfur, it gives off a specific scent. Any animal in nature smells like that when it gets wet. The reason why is because if you shave off its fur, it has the same color skin. It's pink. It's pheo. It's pheo. Like animal skin is pheomelanin. The plot thickens because it's sulfur based. You're not smelling a dog. You're smelling water interacting with sulfur. That gives off that smell. That gives off that scent. We don't smell like that because we're selenium based. You feel what I'm saying? We're selenium based. Selenium and sulfur, they don't move the same way. You feel what I mean? But being eumelanin based, we have to know that we have to make sure that we're having our selenium standards according to that. So our nutrient content needs to include selenium. It needs to include selenium because we're eumelanin based. You feel what I'm saying? Now we go in a bit deeper because now it goes into our nutrition. This is why Black people are supposed to be plant-based. I'm not telling you to do it. And Caucasian people can't eat animals because animals eat animals. Their skin structure is the same. It's both pheomelanin. You feel what I'm saying? You have pheomelanin as our great ancestors once left us, as above, so below, as within, so without. What's above you is, you know what I'm saying? Like you're connected in that paradigm of the world. You feel me? As within, so without. So when we consider that, our sources are supposed to be plants because eumelanin is nitrogenous based. You feel what I'm saying? It's not only is it nitrogenous based, according to plant sources, then it also goes deeper into eumelanin with the selenium. You feel me? We're not supposed to be fucking with animals like that. You feel me? That's why the earth, that's why everything that we eat requires the sun. Requires it to grow. That's why everything they eat doesn't require the sun. Animals don't require the sun to thrive. They require the energy of other life forces. So now we go back into when they eat certain foods. It's like, yo, how can Caucasian people eat raw steak? You feel me? Raw steak. Yeah, medium well. Like, we ain't supposed to be eating that shit. We trying to eat like them. No, we're not. That we can't. Even if you look from a religious text, it says do not eat. Do not, and it tells you that if you're going to eat animal, it says do not eat animal that has a lifeblood in it. We fucking up. Like we trying to do what they do and we can't. Our bodies aren't the same because our melanin is different. You feel what I'm saying? Our melanin is different. We have eumelanin, true melanin. They have pheomelanin, which is false. You feel what I'm saying? So now quick tangent. This is why when I be telling motherfuckers like this whole coronavirus shit, it's not about coronavirus, bro. It's about 5G. It's about 5G. This is why they were so shocked at the beginning. Yo, why the fuck ain't Black people getting coronavirus? Because the 5G radiation is supposed to shut down your immune system. It shuts down your immune system. People keep trying to say shit like, well, no, because 5G, it sits on the scale. It sits between microwaves. Microwaves aren't that. No, they told you microwaves aren't that harmful, but they are. They are. You feel what I'm saying? These rays and these waves aren't harmful to people. See, that's why I'm like, when I was in medical school, I noticed when we were doing when we were doing operating on the cadavers, right? There were never any black bodies in there. Now, granted, 2 semesters, 40 bodies, like no black bodies, all of them were Caucasian, right? Went to a whole nother school, seen the same shit, all Caucasian bodies. We're sustaining them. They're using our minds to keep them alive. Under the premise that we're all the same. That's why I was talking about the Bill Nye shit. We're not the fucking same. Just because we're human, we're bipedal, and we got thumbs and we bleed, we're not the fucking same. We're different. We're really different. No bullshit. You know, go back to our ancestors. You know, this is why race mixing is so bad. This is why they say do not mix. Like, our ancestors left codes not to interact with the Greeks, not to mix with the Greeks, the Romans, none of them. They said do not fuck with them. This is why race mixing is bad. People think, oh no, I love who you love. All right, cool. But if you love yourself enough, and you love yourself enough to correct yourself by correcting yourself with the proper knowledge, and you start to see that the proper knowledge means that, oh, I should not be crossing these lines. Scientifically, you know, even biblically, it says that shit, you know, don't mix with these people. Right? I could be fucked up. Like, people say that, but I'm like, yo, information is the information and the knowledge is the knowledge, and how you put it together is up to you. You feel what I'm saying? They've convinced you, there was a time when they didn't even want they started to realize they were going extinct. That's one thing Caucasian people will not tell you. They'll tell you we're all the same, but they will not tell you that they're going extinct and we're not. It should be like 8 years now that they had a 0 birth rate. More people are dying than are living. This is why now they're trying to say, love who you love. Okay, love who you love. And now they're trying to promote the homosexuality to sustain the numbers. You feel me? That's why they need all these different fertilization drugs and shit. We don't need that shit. We don't need that shit. Study Margaret Sanger and them in the Planned Parenthood. They said that they literally said the Negro is a problem to our existence. If we allow them to continue, then the Negro will eventually take over our genetic system, and we have to stop them. It was genocide. It was eugenics. What do you think the eugenics society studied? True genetics. Eugenetics. Why do you think Henrietta Lacks she's dead, but she's still alive today? People don't know that. She's alive in the sense that what we consider stem cells and all of that shit, that's her. That's her. They've been multiplying this one individual's energy, like her essence, her melanin, because they know that's what eugenics is. They study the true genetics, not pheogenetics. They're not going to tell you that they have pheogenetics. But again, don't go that way. You're talking about melanin. All right, so now we understand where we are with melanin. You feel what I'm saying? We understand where we are with it and why it's important for us as people to not operate from their perspective, because we're not the same as them. They're sulfur based. We're selenium based. You know, we have eumelanin, they have true melanin. We absorb sun, they repel sun. Therefore, if we absorb sun, we need to ingest things that absorb sun as well. Why do you think there's certain colors to the food that we eat? Because when you collectively put all colors together, what do you get? Black. When you remove all color from everything, what do you get? You digs. All right. Look. The markets are not a difficult place to understand. All right. You just have to know what you're looking at. And there's 5 things that you need to see before you can make any market entry. First, you need a pocket so you can know which direction the market is going in. Second, you need a pullback so you can get the better price. Third, you need a battlefield so you can see when that market movement is slowing down. Fourth, you need the upper hand so you can see when the market reactivates. And last, you need a final push so you can see the exact moment when it's time to go with the direction you are already moving in. Okay? Of course, there's so much more that has to go into that, and it's not as cut and dry as that. But those are things that I teach in my Mastering the Market course. So if you would like to learn more, please visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today. Although it is directed and specialized for Forex, all of the skills, I crafted them to be transferable to any market that you're looking at. So again, visit IamJustSing.com and check out the Mastering the Market course today if you are truly looking to master the market. Oh yeah, and don't forget, while I still got you, you can use promo code QUARANTINE to save over 90% off of the enrollment of the full price of the course. That is QUARANTINE, QORNTEEN. You feel what I'm saying? So this is why you have different phases of the energy that you're supposed to get. Red foods, yellow, like they are. And if we understand UV light, then we have to understand light as a source as well. What is the light spectrum broken into? Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, blue, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. What color is the food that we eat? Red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, and violet. You feel what I'm saying? Our fruit, the fruit that we eat has higher energy and they have lower, like if you look at the frequencies of the colors, red, orange, and yellow, and green. I'm gonna talk about green because it's special. Red, orange, and yellow, they have high activity. They're energetic. Those colors are energetic as fuck. They're bright, they're vibrant for a reason. Blue, indigo, and violet are more dark and mellow colors. Look at the delineation between fruits and vegetables. What color are your fruits? Your fruit are mainly red, orange, yellow, and green. You know, the bright green. Our vegetables are mainly green, blue, indigo, and violet. Why? Because it's telling you where you're supposed to get your sources of energy from and which sources of energy you're supposed to operate from to stimulate your melanin. You feel what I'm saying? This is why they can eat flesh. There's no color in it. I know you eat that steak and that steak is red because they have to dye the shit. Whatever. But anyway, I'm not going to go into that shit. I want to go deeper into how the color it affects us because we're colorful. And as melanin, as I said, being nitrogenous based, what do you grow? What do healthy fruits and vegetables grow in? Nitrogenous soil. It's there. All of this shit is there. They're not going to teach you that because it taps into your survival and their extinction. You feel what I mean? Their extinction. They have melanin conferences and they keep black folks out of it. How the fuck can you have a melanin conference and don't invite the melanated motherfuckers there? Because when y'all start to see what they really studying, you're like, whoa, they need us. They need us. You feel what I'm saying? Like they keep talking about global warming and shit. Global warming is only a threat to them, not us. Not us. We've been on this planet forever. They haven't. But again, that's a conversation that I don't want to talk about right now because, you know, melanin is what we're talking about. But the point of the matter is that in the next 18,000 years, it's going to get hot. The sun is going to get stronger. And it's not because they're depleting the ozone layer. It's not. Now that has sped it up because it wasn't supposed to be this fast. But we're actively coming into what's considered cosmic spring for the next 2,100 years. And then you have the 4 seasons. So about for the next 18,000 years is going to be hot. Who survives that? Who survives a strong sun? Those whose body is in a pristine state that it's supposed to be in. You feel what I'm saying? But, you know, I digress. So let's get back on topic with melanin. All right. So as I said, now you have the differentiation between eumelanin and pheomelanin. Africoid people, we have eumelanin, right, which makes us brown. The Caucasoid people have pheomelanin, which makes them pale. You know, pale. There's now people be thinking that, like, quote unquote, there's 2 types of white people, right? You have the Caucasian, right? And then you have the Caucasian, then you have the recessive melanated being, right? Now don't get me wrong, that both gives an extension of pheomelanin. You feel what I'm saying? But it's slightly different. And this is why you have, you know, it's different. It's different. And like this is where you get the blonde hair, blue eyes, right? That's pheo, right? But then when you have the people who are the brunettes and the shit like that, it's like, oh yeah, you have something there, just not enough. You feel what I'm saying? So now we go into the actual the melanin breakdown. You feel what I'm saying? Melanin is broken down by the number 6, right? And now I'm going to go into a little bit of Mendelian genetics as well, too. Why they call that shit Mendel? See, that's the shit that pisses me off. This is just a quick sidebar. It's like when we look at some shit that got a name on a motherfucker and we be like, they didn't find shit. They put their name on it first. See, when we left information and shit, we didn't name it. We didn't say, yo, this is Imhotepian, You know what I mean? Architecture. I know shit like that. Because we understood that it's all for us. They're like, oh shit, let me take this as mine. Mine. So they put their names on shit. And that's not really their shit. That's not really their shit. But what I will say is that when they colonize and when they take shit, they stamp their name on it. That's really what it is. So it's like, it makes you wonder, was that really their name? Or was that what it was referred to, or they found in it and they put that stamp on it? Here's the reason why I say that shit. Because if you look at any scientific aspect, like if you look at from physics, biology, whatever it is, when you look at like the Hertz, when you look at the Plancks, when you look at different powerful like things that have names on them, that this person found that, how come these people don't have families that preceded them or kids that follow? Like there's no other people with those last names. I digress. So when we consider the 6 types of the melanin, right? And like I said, I'm going into Mendelian genetics with this shit too. Melanin is broke down by the number 6. So you have 6 is the highest melanin content. 1 is the lowest melanin content. So with the 1, you would get, of course, the pheomelanin, the very pale people. And then you have the 6 will be blackish brown. 6 will be black, 5 will be brown. 4 would be what's considered red. 3 would be yellow. 2 would be beige. 1 would be pale, right? That's where your melanin content falls in, right? So now this is why I say it goes into Mendelian genetics, because now when you have the three races of people, the Caucasoid, the Mongoloid, and the Africoid, we will be what's considered dominant genetics. That's why if you ever hear me talk, I try not to say that I'm African. I try not to say that I'm indigenous American, because motherfuckers, there's too much confusion over landmass. I say I'm genetically dominant. You can't refute that. I don't give a fuck what landmass you put me on, bitch. I'm gonna stand still on that motherfucker. This is why when they say, okay, the original people, this is why so much confusion when you say, okay, well, the original people were black, so this should be our shit. The fuck? We can be black anywhere. That's because we're genetically dominant. You feel what I'm saying? They gave us the borders of the land masses to separate that shit, but we're genetically dominant. You feel what I'm saying? We're genetically dominant. They're genetically recessive. It's just what it is. Now, the Mongoloid is what's considered heterozygous, right? So heterozygous can be heterozygous dominant or heterozygous recessive. So now this is when I was talking about, you have the dark-skinned Asians, the Cambodians and shit that have the curly hair and shit like us that they don't show. And then you have the people that are not in that bracket, that are the ones that you see with the straight hair that, they put out there. Those will be more so collectively on the other side. So then when we break this down, the Mendelian genetics is broken down. The Punnett square is a lot bigger than what I'm about to use, but I'm about to use the basic 4 square. You have what's considered big B, which will be 100% dominant. That will be us. That will be if your melanin is a 6 or a 5, right? If you have big B, little b, which is heterozygous. So the big B is homozygous dominant, right? That will be us. You have the melanin content, melanin of 6 or 5. You feel what I'm saying? Now, that's where they get the black people from. Excuse me. So then you have the black and brown people. So then you have the heterozygous dominant, right? So this is where you get your 4 and your 3s from, right? You get your 4 and your 3s. So the 4, I'm jumping ahead because it's a lot of information. All right, so you'll get low 5, high 4 with heterozygous dominant. With heterozygous recessive, you're gonna get low 4, high 3. And then with the recessive, no. I was right. Hold on, let me take that back. Okay, so the big B, the dominant, the homozygous dominant, you get 6 and 5, right? With the heterozygous dominant, you get, which is your Mongoloid, you get your dark skin Mongoloid, you get your 4, and you get 4 and high 3, right? Heterozygous recessive, which is still a light skin Mongoloid, you're gonna get low 3 and then 2, and then with the homozygous recessive, which is 2 little b's, you're gonna get 1. Right, so that breaks it down. So this is why when we look at the indigenous people, we call them red. The red people, You start to see the scale on how melanin actually works and what your genetic template is. You feel what I'm saying? And with that connection, you now have from the 6 types, you now know where you fall. So now imagine this, right? This is why I talk about recessive genetics. This is why I talk about genetics as a whole, because the world, the standard, this is why they like, yo, why do we got the European? Because you have to have the European standard, because the European doesn't hold up to everybody else's standard, genetically, biologically, scientifically. They don't fit. You feel what I'm saying? But they say, okay, we reduce the world down to, like, this is why they need vaccinations. This is why they need so many of these things. And they're trying to infuse it on everybody else, because it's like, we want to make the playing field level. It has to be equal. It's not fair that you guys have melanin. It is fair. You should have been born with melanin, motherfucker. Like, okay, rather than hating that shit infused within the gene pool. But it makes them extinct. Like, from there, the theory of evolution and shit, and Darwin's theories with survival of the fittest. That's why black people don't die, we multiply. Because everything has to shift into where we are. You feel what I'm saying? Everything has to shift into where we are as the world turns. You feel what I'm saying? As the world turns, you'll see. Like, there's gonna, like, I can put money on it. Within the next 10 to 20 years, there's gonna be no winter. There's gonna be no winter. People are gonna, oh my gosh, what are we gonna do? You're gonna start you're gonna have to start being black. Like, and you just can't just paint your skin, and you just can't get collagen injections and shit like that. No, you're gonna have to, sacrifice your genetics to be what's real. You know what I'm saying? A lot of people have gotten hit to that. You feel me? A lot of the people are starting to see that. So that's why they're like, okay, we have to condone interracial relationships, but at the same time promote the self-hatred to make these people dissociate from being black, so we can keep the wealth, we can keep everything within ourselves, because we know what's about to happen. We know what's about to happen. This 5G shit, this coronavirus is bullshit. More people have died. Like, I don't know why they're blasting this so much. More people have died when President Obama was in office with the H1N1 in the same time frame than people that are dying in the coronavirus right now. It's not the coronavirus, it's the 5G radiation. It's killing them. In order for technology to improve, the way they create technology is based off of energy. Now, with energy, there's 3 forms. You feel what I'm saying? You have electric energy, you have electromagnetic energy, and then you have, no. You have electric energy, you have magnetic energy, and then you have electromagnetic energy, which is orgone energy, right? As melanated people, we operate from both the electromagnetic spectrum. You feel what I'm saying? We can take in the magnetism too. You feel what I'm saying? We can absorb it all. You feel what I'm saying? So now you have that aspect that they're not able to deal with. Right? So now we can go into the different types of melanin. You feel what I mean? We go into the different types of melanin. So we know the scientific aspect of melanin. We know eumelanin, pheomelanin. Then we have the 6 understandings of melanin from the strength level. And now you have the different types. Melanin is, you have your skin melanin. You have before I get into that, right? Let me go back into what I was talking about one time with the 5G thing. I had made a post and I was like, yo, melanin is different and everything. And people was like, yo, I get my black skin or whatnot, but why is this? Now, this goes back into why they could not understand why melanin was like, why black people weren't getting the coronavirus. It was deeper than that. Black people weren't being affected by 5G radiation as everybody else was. All of this research is online. You can find this. You feel what I'm saying? There's a direct correlation between where the 5G towers were and the outbreaks and the amount of people that have died. Elderly people can't handle this radiation. Their bodies has already been shut down. Elderly Caucasian, come on, that's who's really dying. You feel what I'm saying? And as long as they can put I got coronavirus now. My wife's sitting right beside me. She's not social distance. Like, come on, bro. We ain't stupid. The fuck wrong with y'all, man? Like, you feel me? They shut all of this shit down for a reason. The reason why they shut this down, because they have to continue testing these things to get the radiation levels down. So different absorption. Like, if they weren't cutting down so many trees, they're starting to see their own fuck up now. You feel what I'm saying? And this is what I was talking about with the as technology increases, because they create technology off of electricity. They don't use it off of electromagnetism, which is orgone energy. They don't use that. When our ancestors used that energy, every energetic form we use was orgone energy or orgonite. They're starting to come back into it. Now they're starting to sell you the orgonite pyramids and orgonite crystals and shit like that. It's a reason for that shit. They know. They know now. They're like, yo, we got to start, because they need electromagnetism. They learned that by studying us. You feel what I'm saying? They understand the power of this energy, but they're still trying to use electricity. Electricity is too sporadic and chaotic on its own. It needs magnetism to balance itself. You feel what I'm saying? From a physics aspect, you need the stronger form of energy is electromagnetism, because magnetism stabilizes electricity. Electricity is just chaotic. Magnetism brings in that chaotic negative energy and holds it. It stabilizes it. So where the electricity is the volatility part, magnetism is the stabilizing part. And that way you can increase the electricity as much as you want, because that magnetism is going to increase as well on the 1-to-1 ratio. Shit's dope as fuck, but they're just operating from electricity. Your cell phone towers, your signals, all of that, it's electricity. It's electric radiation, not magnetism. We can fuck with electromagnetism. But the point of that I was making was, when it comes to the different types of melanin, we have to understand how melanin is so connected to skin. And when we look at it as skin, we now have to go back deeper. So now we can study embryology with the shit, right? The embryology, in which is basically the development of the embryo, the baby, you know, it develops from 3 derm layers. Understand the Latin language, which is what they created their medical sciences under. Derm means skin. Okay? Have your dermatologist, one who studies your skin. But we always think skin from the outer perspective. Your entire being is skin. Plot twist. This is why they tell you skin is the largest organ. Not because it covers your whole 6-foot, 7-foot body, but because every part of your body is skin. It's a differentiated form of skin because the body originates from these 3 points. You have the endoderm, the ectoderm, and the mesoderm. But if you want to classify them in order, you have the endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm. Endo means inside, the inner skin. Meso means middle, the middle skin. Ecto means outer, the outer skin. So your body develops from one of these 3 points. You feel what I'm saying? Your bones, your muscles, your organs, your skin itself, your eyes, it all comes from skin or some form of it. So if we know, so now it goes into the different types of melanin, right? You have the outer melanin, which is your skin melanin, which is the melanin that is released from your melanosomes. Each one of your skin cells has a melanocyte. If you have melanin, it has a melanocyte. This melanocyte, as I said, has a melanosome in it, which is a melanin body. So when it's stimulated, it releases melanin, the actual melanin molecule from the melanosome when it's stimulated. Our physical skin is stimulated by the energy of the sun, ultraviolet rays, right? We also have what's called inner ear melanin, right? What energy do you think stimulates that shit? Music. Sound energy. You feel me saying? Our outer skin is light energy. You feel what I'm saying? Our inner skin, a form of our inner skin, which is from the inner ear melanin, is sound. You feel what I'm saying? These are all forms of energy, and they all move at different speeds. Light is the fastest. Then you have sound, which is what? 300. Light is 3.00 times 10 to the 8 meters per second square. Sound is 343 meters per second square. No, not squared. It's just meters per second, I think. 343 meters per second. Could be squared. Look that up on that one. I think it's squared, but I think it's not. No. It's not squared. I think it's just 343 meters per second. That's how fast sound moves, right? So you have the inner ear melanin, right? Sound energy is responsible for that. This is why we move to a beat, because we feel the motherfucker. This is why we stay on beat. This is why we don't have to do 8 counts. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4 and 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. We don't have to do that shit. We know where the 4 is. We know where the 2 is. And we can find that shit at any given time. Because our inner ear melanin, it takes in sound energy, transmutes it to make us rhythmic. You feel what I'm saying? That's one form. Then you have what's called neuromelanin. The neuromelanin is the melanin that coats your nerves, right? It coats your nerves and your neurons. Every movement, every impulse within our body occurs at a synaptic area, right? It's an action potential. Something happens and the energy sparks. You need that melanin to transmute the energy that is running through that impulse. It's electricity. We have that electricity. Now, the neuromelanin has the same components to absorb that, to allow it to move faster. This is why when it comes to our physical being, why we're so superb. You feel what I'm saying? We run fast because of rhythm. I don't think people really pay attention to that. Like, we run fast and we jump higher because of rhythm. Like, that's where it all starts. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Look at a fast runner, they run on a pace. It's literally like, watch them run. You feel what I'm saying? Now, when you get into, like, that's just from track. I'm going to use that as a track and field aspect. You feel what I'm saying? But when you look at like improvisation, when you're getting into, you know, the basketball players, the soccer players and shit like that, baseball players and different things like that, when you look at the improvisation of it, that now taps into a different level, right? But you need neuromelanin to do that because the nerve impulses, they regulate a lot faster. You feel what I'm saying? Now when we talk about the different types of melanin, you have the eumelanin and pheomelanin. What kind of melanin do you think coats their entire being? The melanin that repels the very shit that they're supposed to be absorbing. They can't absorb it the way we can. You feel what I'm saying? So now, when we understand that we absorb sound, now we understand, like, this is why music is so potent to us. You feel what I'm saying? Motherfuckers really be thinking they're catching the Holy Ghost, but really your kundalini is being stirred up from the music energy you're absorbing. That's why you can only catch it on Sunday, and you only catch it after the music is playing. Oh, I'm shouting. Yeah, you shout because your kundalini is moving, and now that stimulation within the sound energy that you're absorbing is moving through your body. You can't sit still. You can't. You have to do something. You feel what I'm saying? So this is why our music too, when we look at, I love how we kept it in a culture for the most part. You have, I can't think of the name of the type of singing it is, but it's like, it's basically chanting. It's like, you know, they call out one thing, you repeat it. You feel me? Our shit is based off of that because that's our shit from, like, when it's time to go to war, when it's time to, like, you affirm this shit. You play the music and then this is how you hype yourself up. This is how you get into it. You feel me? It's like calling something. I can't think of the exact name of it. But again, that's because our energy is open and our melanin is able to absorb it. It absorbs sound too. And then sound with words, when you start to understand it, it goes to the spiritual level too. You feel me? Why do you think our music is so potent? You feel me? When they started to see how NWA was working, when they said fuck the police and they can make people say fuck the police. You feel what I mean? Shit got real. Shit got real because it's like, this is their people. This is their shit emerging. You feel me? When the dude killed the cop and screamed thug life, this is who they really are emerging. We know it. They don't know it, but we don't know why they're moving this way. They don't know why they're moving this way, but we do. So we're going to ban it. You know what? No, not ban it. We're going to control it. We're going to control it. You feel what I'm saying? And in this control, what we're going to do is filter it. So it becomes like, you can't kill a god. Gods have to kill themselves. Always know that shit. Gods have to kill themselves. And if we understand how the melanin works, you know, we're going to, like, so the crack epidemic, okay, what we're going to do is we're going to let them, you know, it's not working anymore. They're selling it. Okay, cool. With them selling, we're going to let them make all of the money they're going to make. They're going to sell it in their communities because it's proximity. You feel what I'm saying? Once they've destroyed enough people, we'll take them off the streets. Once they destroyed enough of their own, we'll take them off the streets. Who cares? Like, so what? Let them kill themselves. Oh, they're selling to us now? Mandatory minimums. 3-strike rule. Because they're going to come out and sell back to us. Okay, nah, we're not going to fuck with that. Let's not go down that route. You feel what I'm saying? The music. All of our music is about fucking and selling drugs. Fucking, killing, and selling drugs. It's a reason for that. Because we know you absorb sound energy. When we put these words over the shit, your people, we're going to allow your people to put these words over the shit because now you just absorb it and you do it. You act it out. You feel what I'm saying? A rapper, a celebrity can say, specifically a rapper, you know, I respect his flow. I respect his lyricism. I respect him as one of the greatest rappers to ever do it. But at the same time, if you look at the generation of all the quote unquote little lean sipping people, Lil Wayne is responsible for that. Lil Wayne is responsible for that. You feel what I'm saying? Now, granted, I understand the point of, you know, oh, everybody can, you know, you got to be able to rate your kid. Yeah, music shouldn't have this control over your kids. It shouldn't, but it does because of the power that it has. Because you're absorbing sound energy. The sound energy that your melanin is taking in is storing the shit in your inner ear melanin, which now transmutes into your pineal gland. Your pineal gland is the seat to your soul. This is where you're taking that shit into. It's etching into your soul. And now you acting the shit out. You feel what I'm saying? If all I listen to is music about selling drugs, what do you think I'm going to do eventually? It's my chant. You feel what I mean? Jeezy, another one. I fucks with Jeezy. But at the same time, his whole motto is trap or die. For years, he said trap or die. Trap or die 1. Trap or die 2. Trap or die 3. Now, granted, he did have thug motivation. Motherfuckers missed the motivation part. As an entrepreneur, that's what that's what you can tell he was trying to project, but he used drugs as the mask and the details over it. They couldn't catch the principles because masculinity is gone. So they couldn't understand that you got to peel back the layers through the details and see the principle of what he's really talking about. Thug motivation 101, 102, 103. You feel what I'm saying? 104 now. You feel what I'm saying? But it's like those, the mainstream songs, not the shit that on the album, that's the shit that'll change your life. That's the shit that you're supposed to hear. But the shit that, you feel what I'm saying, you remember the most, it's the shit to make you do stupid shit. You feel me? Since I'm using Jeezy, think about the song Soul Survivor. If you're looking for me, I'll be on the block with my thing caught, possibly sitting on the trap. Now, as I'm singing this and uttering this, you feel what I'm saying? I'm now affirming through the mixtapes, trap or die, all that shit. Like my melanin is taking that shit in from the sound aspect. You feel what I'm saying? Because the music is over it. You feel what I'm saying? The music is over it. That's why acapella music isn't really like, that's why motherfuckers don't really fuck with. Like spoken word, you listen to it and that's it. Because it doesn't there's no music over it. There's no bass. There's no drum. They knew what the drum did. Because the drum, when our ancestors did create the drum, it was an energy behind why you created the drum, because the drum united the animal and the plant kingdom. How did you make a drum? You hollowed out a tree and you put an animal hide over it. And you as the human are beating it. You just unified the entire ecosystem. Animal hide, a hollowed out plant, and the human playing the drum. You united the energies of the world. We had a lot of powerful shit with ourselves. You feel what I'm saying? But I don't want to get too off into that because I don't want this to be a history lesson when I'm talking about melanin. So yeah, you have your neuromelanin, your inner ear melanin, and then you have the melanin that coats your skin. But all of that derives from melanocytes. Melanocytes are in every single cell in your body. Why? Because your entire body is created from 3 forms of skin: the endoderm, the mesoderm, and the ectoderm. Right? This means you have melanin in all of these forms. It covers your nerves. It covers your organs. You feel what I'm saying? It covers everything. And so now our energy now has a different propensity. You feel me? That's why we need to operate from electromagnetic energy. We need orgone energy. Like if they ran the world off of orgone energy, it'll be a lot healthier place. But they have to use it off of electricity. This is why the radiation is so sporadic and so chaotic. It don't bother us, not that much, but it affects our energy because we absorb it continuously. You feel me? Continuously. And that's what our melanin is about. You feel what I'm saying? I'm all for it. You know what I'm saying? Motherfucker, that's the music you listen to, you know, Listen to it. Listen to it listen to it sparingly. You feel me? Everything you listening to is about like people don't understand how the music gets you to do shit. Like, you feel me? A hot girl summer. You can make a song called a hot girl summer, and everybody goes and has a hot girl summer. You feel what I'm saying? Why do you think they stopped making conscious music cool? Like, because it stopped selling. I'm not gonna say it stopped selling. They stopped promoting it, which makes you like, supply and demand is a motherfucker. They removed the demand. So, they removed the supply, and they told you that they didn't want you to have the demand anymore. They gave you what to demand. They gave you the demand, and then they supplied it. You feel what I'm saying? It's almost like you walk into somebody's house and you throw a brick through their window and say, hey, I'm a glass salesman. That's really what the fuck they just did. You feel what I'm saying? Because they couldn't, like I said, only a God can kill itself. You can't kill a God. A mortal cannot kill a God. You need the God itself to kill itself, or you need something created by the God to kill it. It's like, look at their epics, look at the shit like that, Clash of the Titans. Look at their movies. It takes gods to kill gods. Or what happens is, it has to be a demigod. He comes up and he fights because he has a power of the God. The humans can't fight him. They can't do shit but pray to him. Right? It takes a God to kill a God, or the creation of the God to kill the God. You feel what I'm saying? Like, you have to infuse that God tier shit into the, you know what I mean? In order to kill yourself, in order to kill it. You know what I mean? So that's what this whole point is. And you understand the whole key to the God level is your melanin. They know everything about it. Every single thing about it. Now it's time for us to know everything about it as well. Because now we know what we're armed with. You feel what I'm saying? Why you think in the summer, like, pay attention, go to the club, right? Go to the club and shit. It's almost strategic. Like, when I used to go to the club and shit, I was always out of the club by the time the sex songs came on. Or before they went off. Because, that's kind of what I went there for. So by the time the sex songs came on about fucking and taking home for the night and shit like that, I'm grinding on some ass. When I'm grinding on some ass, both of us are open for that shit. So when what you trying to do? Oh, shit, what you trying to do? That's how the one-nighters happen. But then let's extend the club. When they're ready for the club to close up, to shut down, what do? They play the tear the club up music on. They put that shit on. What happened? Niggas start fighting. That's not an accident. That's not an accident. And then you got those people that go to the club solely for that. They tear that bitch up. And then you add alcohol into the shit. And melanin is already an alkaloid. It takes you to that next level. You release your inhibitions. It binds to you. Shit is deep. Like, they know everything on how to fuck us up. Case in point, look, peep this shit, bro. With the coronavirus, they just established that the ABC stores, the liquor stores, are essential. Why? Why are the ABC stores essential? Now, when we go back into me talking about this being about 5G and the radiation, you start to see how shit's making sense. How are the ABC stores essential when because there's an ABC store in every hood. There's a liquor store in every hood. You feel me? They go out, there's no, like, you don't go to the suburb and see a liquor. No, you have to go out to pick up your alcohol. Our shit is, we can walk to it most times. You feel me? Shit's strategically done, bro. It's strategically done because they understand melanin. They understand how it works. They understand it as an energy source, as an energy absorbing molecule in every facet. This is the key to the gods. You feel what I mean? This is the key to the gods. So now, when we talk about, okay, melanin on fleek, it's all in what you consume. In order for your melanin to be on fleek, you have to consume the things that make it on fleek. Feel me? It's deeper than just, my skin's clear. Okay. Is all your skin clear? Because like I said, we go back to the three types. Endoderm, mesoderm, and ectoderm. Is the meso and the ecto? Is it meso and the endo on point? The ecto's cool. Your skin's clear, it's flawless. You feel me? No blemishes. Pores is fine. They're closed up and shit. But what about the meso? Your musculature. fat coating it, shit like that. You know what I mean? It's other shit like that. Your endo. Your endo is a lot of times your nervous system. The neuronal part. Your neural tube is formed as, from the embryonic perspective, your neural tube is formed as the endoderm, from an aspect of the endoderm. Your brain and spinal cord formed from your endoderm, your inner skin. Is that shit on point? Is that shit on point? You feel what I'm saying? So it's like we have to look at melanin a lot better than we do. It's not just about your skin tone. It's every aspect of who you are. Every aspect of who you are. You feel what I mean? Every aspect of who you are. This shit is beautiful. This shit is amazing. You feel what I'm saying? And we have the true melanin. You know what I mean? We have the true melanin. Of course, the lighter your skin, the less content you have. That doesn't mean that, you're less than or anything like that. Don't get me wrong. That's not what I'm saying. But there's two distinct layers. Like, this is why you have, you have light-skinned people and then you got mixed people, right? Some mixed people think they light-skinned. Like, and if you ever looked at a mixed person and an actual light-skinned person, they look different. Because one still has the genetically dominant perspective into it, and one has the mixed genetics. You feel what I'm saying? Because the features, like, it's different. It's literally different. Like your melanin is gonna manifest differently. And then when you mix, now you have blurred lines because you have sulfur and pheomelanin running through you at the same time. Two forms of melanin that ain't supposed to mix. Sulfur and selenium. They're different, perspectives. Different elements. So we gotta consider, other things like that. And melanin is that point. It's time. Like, we can't, it gotta be, we can't just, I'm Melanin Monroe. Women just can't talk about Melanin Monroe. Man, I'm a melanin king and all that shit. Nah, let's start acting like that shit now. Let's really, really start acting like that shit now, bro. Cause we on some real shit, we have to. We have to. I'm telling y'all, bro, like, winter is gone. Winter is about to be gone. And in about 10 to 15 years, it's going to stop snowing in the northern states. Watch. Motherfuckers think I'm bullshitting with, like, this shit. Like, when I tell people about being a prophet, right? Everybody think, oh, yo, if you're a prophet, it's the prophet of the Lord, it's the prophet of Allah's prophet, whatever. They give you the message and shit. No, a prophet is one who understands the past well, analyzes the present, and they can predict the future. You don't really need, like, major downloaded insight. You feel what I'm saying? But you can start to see what the fuck is happening. Winter is gone, children. Winter is gone, children. I've watched it die within my lifetime. You feel me? When I moved from California to North Carolina, I was 9 years old. Right? I remember it snowing. Like, I can literally count it. It snowed one year, snowed the next year. Then it skipped the year, snowed, skipped the year, snowed, skipped 2 years, snowed. Like, then it's to the point where now the snow in the winter, it's like, it's hot in wintertime. Like, you only get a month of it being cold, then it comes back to spring. It's a reason for that shit. Call it global warming. Call it the polar ice caps are melting. Yes, because the motherfuckers who were here, who emerged in this bitch during the ice age, that shit's gone. That was a cosmic winter. It was supposed to last that long. It's done now. You feel what I'm saying? But again, I could be reaching, but I will say this. Our ancestors left a region in Kemet called Nabta Playa. I suggest you look Nabta Playa up. That will tell you about the cosmological winters. About how, not the cosmological winters, the cosmological astrology, how there's 2,100 years between each zodiac sign, and then it goes counterclockwise. Our ancestors charted that shit. Right? Our ancestors charted that shit. In order to chart something like that, you have to understand that it's a cycle. And if one cosmological year is 26,000 years, roughly about, it's 25,940, some shit like that. But about 26,000 years, right? That's one cosmological year. How can our ancestors chart something like that precisely if we were not here for at least 3 cycles of that, and able to coherently pass down this information generation to generation? 26,000. times 3 is what, 78,000 years? Roughly about? At least 78,000 years. So now it goes back into different things like religions and all of that other shit. Like, how the fuck are we outlasting this shit that we're serving? But whatever, that fucks with our melanin too. But all in all, the reason why I wanted to talk about melanin was because of the great Dr. Afrika. Like, you know what I mean? The information that he provided that I just had to keep studying. Like, I just went deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper into it. And like, I started to see what we're really dealing with. And I understand the significance of why we have to do the things we do, why we have to move the way that we move. And it's based off of our melanin content, our melanin component. Like, we gotta, in order for it to be on fleek, we gotta treat it like gods. We gotta be gods with it. Because it is a key from the gods. If that's what we're gonna, say that we're worshiping and we're serving and shit. We're creating the image then. If we're creating the image, that means we're the reflection. The fuck? It's one and the same. So, it's like, your melanin. Go beyond what the fuck Instagram is showing you. Study this shit, bro. Sis. You know what I mean? Study it beyond what the fuck Instagram is showing you. Yeah, it's carbon based. It's not just 666. Like, motherfuckers want to be the devil. Like, motherfuckers want to be that shit. Oh, this is why, this is why they try to say it's the mark of the beast. No, that's not why they said it's the mark of the beast. The mark of the beast has something totally different outside of that. Mark of the beast with the number 666 is about your divine self. 666. The reason why it's 3 6s is because that's your mind, your body, and your soul. You feel what I'm saying? The mark of the beast emerges. That's why when I talk about the book of Revelation, people miss the point. They're like, yo, in the book of Revelation, the mark of the beast is going to show 666. That's what's going to happen. No, what's going to happen is your spiritual battle occurs. That's where the 7 seals break in. That's because your chakras open up. That is what the battle is. The Most High coming down to fight and smite. The serpent has to be locked out of the bowels of the earth and then come and fight. The serpent is your kundalini energy. Your kundalini energy has to go up to your brain. Once it pierces your brain, you're going to have your spiritual awakening. Your spiritual awakening is the battle. The battle occurs on earth. Hell is your lower chakras, your 3 lower chakras. Earth is going to be where your heart chakra sits because that's your 4th dimensional space. Your heaven is going to be your upper 3 chakras, your 5th, 6th, and 7th, right? When that battle happens, it's going to be your higher self fighting your lower self. Your higher self, of course, wins, but it's not in that regard. So the mark of the beast, the 666, is your lowest. Are you going to stay in your lower nature? Or are you going to evolve to your 999 state, which is your God level, your God phase? Drake got a song on Views that says, I turn a 6 upside down. It's a 9 now. The shit be deep as fuck. I mean, some people just don't catch the shit. Why you think he got the owl represent? Look, man, I can go into deep on all of this shit, but I'm talking about fucking melanin. So with that, like I said, make sure that when it comes to this melanin shit, you study it outside of what you're reposting on Instagram, what you're seeing reposted on social media. Like, go get the books. You feel me? Go study the information. You feel me? From the books, go to the back of, like, when I study and shit, man, like, I'm about to really get back into it because a lot of my shit is locked down now. You know what I mean? Like, and I'm able to better move. But when it comes to studying, after you read the book, go to the index. Go to the resources. Go study them shits too. Go get those books too. You feel me? Have that thirst and that hunger for the shit. Like, you feel what I'm saying? That's that, and that, like, man, I can't even begin to tell you how much information I know on melanin. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than what I even presented here. But you know what I'm saying? When you learn that, then you're able to better maneuver and put yourself into the position to take care of yourself, to make sure your melanin is on fleek. They're not going to do it. You know what I mean? They're not going to do it for you. They're going to tell you how they maintain pheomelanin. You have melanin. It's not going to work. It's not going to work. This is why we be like, black don't crack. It ain't supposed to. But it will crack when you start to operate it and try to treat it like it's pheomelanin. And don't forget to take a moment to go get your exclusive merchandise from Just Scenes merch. At Just Scenes, each piece is specifically crafted with positive imagery and symbolism. From the titles and designs to the descriptions, each style gives you something to feel great about.
With everything from hoodies and tees to coffee mugs and tote bags, we have something for the entire family. So be sure to get yours today. Find us on Instagram at JustScenesMerch and get your merchandise right now.
All right, so with that being said, I'll go ahead and wrap it up. As I said, I wanted to dedicate this episode to Dr. Llaila Afrika. Like where I stand as far as melanin and, you know, the holistic health and everything is I owe it to you, I owe it to him. Like there's, you know what I'm saying? Him, Dr. Sabi, you know, Dr. Wilson, like it's the list goes on. There's a lot more. Those are who I'm thinking about right now at the top of the head. Like they've set standards and left things that have really just revolutionized my entire thought process of life. You know, so when I look at where we are, when I look at where we could go, I know that it's dependent upon us understanding ourselves, you know, from the melanin perspective. And, you know, without Dr. Afrika, I don't think we would know as much as we have the capacity to know now about melanin. There's a lot of other scholars out there, but every other person that's talked about melanin that I've studied has referenced him in some way, shape, or form. So again, I went back to the source. Like that's why, and when I went back to the source, I was amazed. I was shocked. I was transformed. And I owe that to him. I owe that to him. You know what I mean? He was the elder. You know what I mean? Like he's the reason why I talk the way that I do when I speak, why I teach the way that I teach. You feel what I'm saying? Like watching his lectures, like I said, he's sarcastic, man. He's witty. He's like, you know, granted I cuss more than him. I do. I cuss way more than him. But you know what I mean? He's humorous. Like it's a lot of it was just who I naturally was. And then seeing that capacity, because everybody told me, like, you know, when growing up, you know, to be intelligent, to be viewed as this, like, you're going to have, like, he showed me that, like, you know what I'm saying? He still had an afro, bro. Like, you feel what I'm saying? Like, he like, that shit, I was told when I was a kid, like, I used to have braids. I used to have hair past my back. And I was told that I'm going to eventually have to cut it off if I'm going to be a doctor. You feel what I'm saying? Little shit like that. Like, seeing him operate in his full capacity unapologetically as himself. Like when he gave his lectures, he had a dashiki on, you know what I mean? Like the shit, it made me realize that I could be myself unapologetically. Like I said, I cuss more. I cuss a lot more. But the way I present my information is I do it in the same vein that he does. You feel what I'm saying? As myself, like if I feel like saying this is what if I feel like cracking a joke, I'm gonna do it. Like, you know what I mean? Like he was one of the standards for that. He probably is the standard for that. You feel what I'm saying? And when I teach my courses, when I give my insight on the things that I know, you know what I mean? I have that confidence knowing that like I learned from somebody so great. You feel what I'm saying? I learned from somebody so great. And what I admire the most, and this is one of the things that I do. I don't know if people really caught it. Like I go into their systems, take the information, and I bring it back to us. You feel me? It's like people have not, you know, I don't tell as much, you know, how much I really have stolen from them that was stolen from us. So it's like, you ain't really stealing your own shit when you take it back. Like, you feel what I'm saying? But it's like seeing him, you know, he was a naturopathic doctor. He was, you know, traditional medicine doctor. He, you know what I mean, herbalist. Like, it's like he showed me that you can be a multi-genius. You feel what I mean? A multi-genius. Especially if you're already a multi-genius, just bring that shit out. You feel what I'm saying? Like studying him in real time and then studying my history and knowing like Imhotep was a multi-genius. They try to say Imhotep was, he was the first like Imhotep couldn't have been the first multi-genius if he was taught. Somebody taught him. Somebody taught him well in order to be physician, architecture. And like, so we only know what they're willing to tell us and shit. But then when we see in real time, we have multi-geniuses walking around. Like, I get it. A lot of people, it was all the vein of holistic health and medicine. But do you know, like studying him was how I was able to unlock certain aspects of my mind and myself to understand masculinity the way that I do. You feel what I'm saying? There's other things that tapped into that, but you know what I mean? It's like, he was that multi-genius. And it's like, bro, I want to be able to do that. I always told myself, you know, years ago, I said, I want to be able to do with my mind what Michael Jordan did with the basketball, what Randy Moss did with a football. You feel what I'm saying? What Ali did in the ring. I want to do that shit with my mind. And he showed me it's possible. A lot of the teachers that I studied, they showed me that it's possible to be a multi-genius. It's possible to take complex information, simplify it, give it back to your people the way it's supposed, like, you feel what I'm saying? And I've always had that desire to do that. And he kind of just, you know, he liberated that for me. He opened that up for me. Like, I don't fear it anymore. I used to be scared to be intelligent. I used to be scared to be smart and shit. Like growing up in the hood and shit, it's like you get scared of that shit because everybody around you, they be like, there's a lot of geniuses in the hood, but everybody's scared to be geniuses and shit. I was one of the ones who wasn't afraid to, because it was different for me, because I hung with them. I hung with the, like, you had the geniuses or the thinkers and shit that are in the hood, and they don't never really want to tap into, or they don't hang with the hood people. You know what I'm saying? Because they got, oh, you got your head on straight, stay out of it. Like, I was with them motherfuckers, like, you know, Fifth Amendment shit, so I'm not going to say too much, but I was with them. You know what I mean? But it was like, they were like, yo, bro, how the fuck are you so smart? I'm like, bitch, you smart too. You just choose not to use the motherfucker. Like, but I was that person, like, you couldn't call me a nerd and think it's going, you know, like, we'll box. I'll slap the shit out you. You feel what I'm saying? Like, because I grew up in that vein around, you know what I mean? Like, I remember I was 12 years old. My one of my big cousins, he started calling me professor when I was like 12. Cause like he was in college or something, and like he didn't want to do his homework. He didn't know how to do it. He was like, yo, professor, show me how to do this. I'm 12. And he was like, yo, you the professor, bro. Like, how you know? I'm like, cause it's easy, bro. Just if you give me the book and you let me read it a little bit, I'll know what to do. You feel what I'm saying? But from there, I kind of like put it in my mind, okay, yeah, I'm a teacher. Like, I can do this shit. But then seeing, like I said, seeing Dr. Afrika, just like it was different. Like, when I studied all of his information, like, I've read every book he has. Every book he has. And the way he breaks it down, and all he talks about is being black. Like, that shit means a lot. That shit means a lot. As a black thinker, a black scholar, there's no greater feeling knowing that, like, somebody shows you. Somebody dared to take that to the next level and be fearless with it. You feel what I mean? He ain't give a fuck. He ain't give a fuck about nothing but his people. That shit's powerful to me. That's what I aspire to be. Granted, I can't walk a mile in those shoes, and I'm not trying to. For me, it's not about emulation, but it's about respect. You know what I mean? It's about gratitude. It's about, you know, doing like, it's about taking the foundation and building more. I don't know if I could build more, because, like, you feel me? It's a lot that he already put into this world. You feel what I mean? But I'm gonna do my part. I'm gonna, like, and you know, I can't thank him enough for his contributions. Only thing I wish is that I would have been able to give him his flowers in person. You know what I mean? Go to actually attend the lecture and let him know, you know, how much inspiration he was to me. You know, and I just hope that, you know, I'm doing a service with what he left. I'm doing, you know, all that I can do, all that I should do, all that I, you know, can truly. I just want to use my maximum capacity, and I know that with what he's showing me, with what he's left, I can do that. You know, so he's transitioned on, but I can guarantee he's gonna live forever. He's immortal. He's gonna live forever, bro. And because of that, I dedicate this episode to him. I dedicate this episode to him. Yeah, that's about it, man. Yeah. So with that being said, man, as always, follow me on Instagram _just_scene_. Click the link in the bio to be taken to all of my pages. Thank everybody for their tips and the sponsorships and everything. And yeah. As always, kiss your babies. This is why I say make sure they eat their fruits and their vegetables. And go read something, or go read something that he's written, or watch a lecture. Do something just in respect to him. In respect to him, and yeah, man. I don't know what else to say, man. Rest in peace. Rest in paradise. Rest easy because your work is done. Rest easy because your work is done. I say to the ancestor, peace, love, knowledge, and freedom. I'm out.